Hi, I'm Irene Garonna, and with my colleague Rogier de Jong, we will spend the next 10 minutes or so talking about applications of the new space economy to insurance. There is a growing number of sectors, companies, business models, and stakeholders that are involved in the insurance supply chain. Among the main players are primary insurers, brokers, but also agents, bancassurance, and reinsurers. Altogether, they play an important and widely recognized social function, that of enabling individuals, communities, and companies to prepare for and recover from sudden misfortune, thereby increasing resilience in our society and promoting safer behaviors. This sector, as a whole, ultimately depends on the ability of these companies to quantify, price, mitigate, and manage risk. So how does the new space economy affect this sector? For the space sector, the new space economy has created opportunities for greater efficiency upstream and multiple and more customized applications downstream. Among these applications, those in insurance have had a promising impact on efficiency, profitability, and customer satisfaction. Earth observation already has countless applications that have been exploited, and even more that await a more pervasive use from the insurance sector. In recent years, the growing number of Earth-observing satellites in service have made data more accessible and more affordable, and this has in turn accelerated advances in some of the typical applications of Earth observation in the industry. In this presentation, we focus on three main application categories for Earth observation imagery along the insurance value chain: natural catastrophe modeling, event impact assessment and response, and the creation of new insurance products. Let us consider an example of each of these applications, starting with natural catastrophe modeling. And for this, I hand over to Rogier.
Natural catastrophes like earthquake and weather-related events form the largest risk pool of the reinsurance industry. Global economic losses from such events reached $190 billion in 2020 only. More than 80 billion of that was insured. In the recent history, most costly events included tropical storms like Katrina in 2005 and 2017 Harvey, Irma, and Maria season, but also Japan and New Zealand earthquakes, recent wildfires in the USA and Australia, and various flood events including this year in Europe. The peak perils for the industry are therefore tropical cyclone and earthquake, followed by flood. Winter storm is the peak peril for Europe, and while the last major event was Lothar back in 1999, the chances for such storms to occur are still equally high. Other secondary or sub-perils can also have large impacts, as we have observed with the many events that occurred over the past years. Each of these perils are studied by the reinsurance industry, and Earth observation plays a role for many of them. The industry develops models to understand and cost the risk associated with natural perils. Probabilistic models start with understanding the physical hazard, and Earth observation approaches are increasingly relevant as sources of information. While application was limited to static inputs of, for instance, land cover or elevation, satellite time series can nowadays provide insight into probabilities related to some of the perils. The second box of the model is all about vulnerability. How much damage does a certain hazard intensity cause to a specific type of building or asset? Also here, Earth observation can play a role. The third and fourth boxes determine which assets are insured, the exposure, and how coverage is provided, the financial box. Earth observation is less relevant for those, but let us give a few examples from the hazard and the vulnerability boxes. A first example relates to convective storms. The main peril, at least in Europe, is hail. This is a very localized phenomenon that is hard to observe and therefore challenging to model. Radar observations are often the basis for calculating occurrence probabilities, so basically ground-based Earth observation. Satellite imagery is used in addition to detect overshooting clouds. Those are a good proxy for the occurrence of hailstorms. Damage assessments, as we will cover in a moment, can be used to derive occupancy-specific loss estimates. Roof damage can often not be detected from space, but in this example we see how blue tarpaulins have been used to cover roof damage after a tropical storm in Japan. Such proxies can be mapped from space and be combined with available building information to estimate what type of buildings have been affected more or less than others. Wildfire is a good example of a natural phenomenon that happens frequently, and therefore available satellite time series give good insight in the probability associated to them. And not only fire products can be used, also vegetation products like spectral indices can be used to estimate fuel availability. And post-event, satellite observations can help with loss estimates, especially if the insured risk is a production forest. The final example we would like to bring is flood modeling. The most intuitive application is probably water detection and mapping, and we'll come to that. But the models also use other remotely sensed input, for instance land cover and topography. Hydrological models require high-quality input, and state-of-the-art Earth observation products directly improve the modeling.
Another important application is the rapid analysis of events as they unfold. In the immediate aftermath of an event, the speed and accuracy of intervention is key to saving lives and minimizing damage. Within the insurance sector, being able to rapidly assess the damage is vital for prioritizing the most severely impacted areas, identifying the customers with greatest need, organizing claims and loss adjuster resources to ensure the fast payment of claims, and ultimately ensuring adequate reserves are there for the company. Traditional assessment approaches may be inconsistent across countries, or limited in coverage or scope, or may be very time-consuming. In such cases, Earth observation may contribute fast, consistent, and objective information about an event. A concrete example of this is the rapid mapping of floods. This peril is particularly hard to monitor across the world and affects more people worldwide than any other type of natural disaster. The increasing availability and quality of satellite-derived flood footprints constitute an opportunity to make large leaps forward in the speed and accuracy of the event response. Flood footprints, like in this example, inform about the areas that are likely to be flooded, and in certain cases, also about how high the water level reached. Our last example is about building new digital insurance products. In our current COVID and climate change transitions, the need for social protection is increasing, and the insurance sector is putting forward new products to try and fill this growing demand. An example of this is parametric insurance. This is a type of insurance that depends on a pre-agreed simple measure, maybe an index or a parameter. A parametric product pays out if a certain triggering event, say an earthquake above a certain intensity, for example, is reported by an independent third party, here called the reporting agent. Satellite data have very positive characteristics in that context, as they are created by independent third parties and provide consistent data across time and geography. Therefore, more and more parametric products are created in collaboration with privately owned satellite companies. In conclusion, the new space economy offers opportunities for the insurance sector to use Earth observation data more efficiently in order to solve some of the traditional challenges in this sector.
Also, it creates opportunities to ultimately better serve its customers and its social function, which is to help private households, companies, and communities rebuild and increase resilience in a world increasingly exposed to systemic hazards and uncertainty.